Welcome everybody to another episode of The Hour of Nick. This is going to be our monthly podcast episode where we talk about anything from video games to entertainment, even just like stuff going on in our lives, whatever fits the bill, that'll be our subject for the month. And this time we're actually doing 2 episodes this month because I actually happened to miss last month. So yeah, in this case, let's go ahead and get right into it. This is going to be a little bit of a shorter video. I don't even know if it's going to reach a half hour, but it should still be fun. And with me I've got one special guest, and that's my good friend Mark.
Hello.
So yeah, let's see how everything goes today. There's really only going to be like one thing I kind of talk about a little bit in this podcast episode, and that is the fact that, as some people might have heard, GTA 6 has been delayed until May of next year. So that is definitely quite interesting, and I'd say, at least to me, hopefully indicates the fact that Rockstar is working really hard on making sure that this game will be as good as possible. It definitely does make me all the more excited to play it when it comes out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not going to play that personally because, well, I'm not really into GTA, but it does suck for the fans of that franchise who were looking forward to it, because now they got to wait like an extra several months.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely is a bummer for fans of the series, for sure. But as someone who is a fan of the GTA series, even though I definitely am not really happy about the delay, for sure, at the same time, like I said, it does at least give me hope that, that they're going to make work and polishing the game up as much as possible. Of course, there are rumors as well that the game is going to cost like $100 when it comes out, which would be absolutely insane, but considering how big the game allegedly is, we can only hope Rockstar does enough to actually justify that price tag.
You know what's going to happen, though, if they charge $100? Is people are going to be like, oh, why is it costing this much? That's too expensive. And yet they're still going to buy it anyway.
Yep. I mean, that's kind of what happens with the internet these days, They rage about something for a little bit. They, obviously will make a whole lot of videos about how it's going to ruin gaming and all that stuff, and then they all contribute to it regardless. Happens all the time, unfortunately.
Just like how everyone threw a fit when they announced the Mario Kart World price tag of $80.
Yep. And, 3.5 million units later, as of the time of this video, that doesn't seem to have done anything.
Like, to put that in comparison, like say comparing apples to oranges or whatever. I mean, like 3.5 million in what was it, like the first 4 or 5 days according to Nintendo's reports. It's just remarkable, and from what I read, like with PS5, it took them like a month to get to 3.5 million units sold. I don't know how long it took for Microsoft to get to 3.5 million Xbox Series X units sold when that launched, but it definitely took a while for that, for sure.
Oh,
and plus, the difference between the 3 consoles is that both the PS5 and Xbox Series X, those both launched during a pandemic. The Switch 2 is the first console to launch post-COVID, so obviously that's a big advantage for Nintendo already.
Yeah, exactly. It's a much better time to release a console than what Sony and Microsoft are facing, for sure. Plus, like I said, the demand for the console really was real. I mean, I think a lot of people really just underestimated just how many people wanted to play a bigger and better Switch.
I mean, I know I did, and we got a brand new Mario Kart as a result of that, so.
Yeah, exactly, which I'm really enjoying, by the way. But either way, like I said, we'll see what happens with the GTA 6 release. Like I said, I'm definitely looking forward to getting when it comes out, for sure. There definitely is a chance I might be getting a PS5 by the holiday season, but if I don't for whatever reason, then that might be the game that actually might actually finally get me to buy a PS5, for sure, because I definitely do want to play it as a huge GTA fan. I mean, I've kind of not really talked about this that much on my channel before, and in fact, this might actually be the first time I think I've ever mentioned explicitly in my videos, but whether people know it or not, GTA 4 actually happens to be my favorite game of all time. So you can definitely imagine that as a huge GTA fan, I'm really looking forward a lot to this game.
I imagine. I mean, it sucks that we gotta wait till May 2026 for that now.
Yeah, for sure. But either way, like I said, just hope it'll be worth the wait, and I definitely will be playing a lot of it when it comes out for sure.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think we'll be getting a Switch 2 version just because I don't really know if the console will be able to handle a game quite that demanding. But I will still definitely be excited to play it on the PS5 though for sure.
Yeah. But but while on the subject of delays, there was actually another delay that happened recently, not for a major game, but for an upcoming movie.
Oh yeah, I did see that. I think it was the Zelda movie that got delayed.
Yeah, the live action Zelda movie. So that's supposed to come out in 2027. It's still scheduled to come out in 2027, but it's not coming out in March of that year anymore. It's coming out in May.
Yeah.
Which, like, it kind of feels weird to me that they announced a release date delay for a movie that hasn't even started filming yet. But then again, nothing Zelda related is ever safe from delays. It seems like.
Yeah, I know. It just kind of seems like Zelda's like always Zelda anything is always like doomed to be a delay in some sort of
Yeah.
capacity. I mean, we saw it. I think with both Zelda games on the Switch. Obviously, of course, Breath of the Wild was originally a Wii U game, so that took a long time to come out. I think like
And
even before then, Twilight Princess was delayed a couple times. So Zelda
and
definitely is very delay heavy.
Tears of the Kingdom, I think, got delayed multiple times as well before that finally came out 2 years ago.
Yep, you're correct about that. But
Yeah,
either way, it is interesting. Honestly, I'm still
yeah,
kind of. Sorry, what were we gonna say?
yeah, yeah. I think whenever like there's like major delays like with Nintendo projects, I think it usually happens more often than not with Zelda related projects, mainly because of how big and ambitious that those tend to be.
Yep. And like I said, it kind of does make sense in that regard.
Yeah.
But in regards to the Zelda movie, when it does finally come out, honestly, I might give it a shot. I mean, I'm not really the biggest Zelda fan in the world. Like, I'm really only a fan of like the N64 games, and I've played a little bit of Twilight Princess and like that, but I've never really been crazy about the series. But even with that in mind, I might still check out the movie because it does kind of sound pretty cool, and it will still probably be at, I'd imagine, like a really well made and designed film.
Yeah. So we've got two big movie releases to look forward to for 2027: the Zelda film, not to mention the next film in the Sonic franchise. And actually, I think we need to add a third major one to the list because, as of recording date here, they announced a sequel for Spaceballs.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, 2027, I think in general is going to be a pretty exciting year for movies. I'll be looking forward to a lot of those for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, Sonic 4 is definitely another one I'm very hyped for as well, especially with a couple characters they kind of tease they would be that would be in that movie at the end of the third film. Obviously, I won't really spoil that for anybody who has not seen the third Sonic movie yet. But either way, like I said, it does make me excited that those characters will be in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of just like on another subject, and this doesn't really have much to do with game, which is kind of like my life in general. I kind of will just say that in general, this summer probably will be a kind of a pretty crazy one for me because I'm actually going to be moving back in a couple months, so that is something I'll probably be doing. But of course, I will still go out whenever I get the chance and do some fun things like swimming and rocks and all that stuff. So, just out of curiosity, Mark, do you have any particularly cool plans for this summer?
Uh, Not really anything too major. I mean, we don't have like. Well, I don't really have any major vacations planned for myself. However, my parents are going to be going to Ireland in August.
Oh, nice. Well, I hope they have a great time. That definitely sounds like it'll be a nice trip.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a country that I've never been to, is Ireland, and as nice as it would be to visit that, I kind of unfortunately do have to work. So,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
making the money is important, especially after considering that I just spent like $800 Canadian on the Switch too. So,
Yeah, it's kind of the same with me. I mean, I've dropped a whole lot of my money on getting the Switch too, so I definitely need to, relax my wallet for a little bit. But either way, like I said, I definitely do hope they have a good time, and obviously, hopefully next summer I'll be in much better position to do something like that.
hmm. Well, we'll just have to see what happens.
Yep. And of course, as far as other things, I will go ahead and mention as well. If you guys somehow haven't already figured it out from what we've been saying so far in this video, is that me and Mark did just recently get a Switch 2. Obviously, as of the time we're recording this, it came out actually exactly 1 week ago. And yeah, overall, definitely been enjoying it a fair bit. I think in a couple weeks or so, I might come out with like a more in-depth video, kind of like explaining like my thoughts on it a bit more overall. But so far, definitely enjoying it a lot. It definitely is, kind of everything, I ever wanted out of like a Switch Pro or whatever. It's definitely a very nice upgrade.
Oh yeah.
And really, just being able to play many games at like a much more stable frame rate without and without much issues is definitely very, very nice for sure.
Oh yeah. And like when like and from what I've seen, like when you're using it in handheld mode, like that the screen is like it's a monster pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. And I
Yeah.
know some people have kind of taken issue with that because obviously, it's I guess you could say it kind of makes it less portable for some people. But as someone like myself, who has like fairly like decently sized hands, at least like medium sized hands, and and really couldn't really fit too well with the original Joy-Con controllers. I really do think the bigger size helps a lot.
Ah, yeah, that it definitely does. But yeah, but I'm still not getting welcome to her though. That quote unquote game can suck some Dragon Balls for all I care.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Welcome to, or even just the principle of that game is just enough to make sure I would never play it.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll tell you this much, and I even mentioned this on someone's live stream that I was watching before I went to work this morning. If Reggie was still with Nintendo now, I can almost guarantee you he would have pushed to make that a free package with the Switch too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If Reggie was still around, I guarantee you he would have fought to make sure that game was free with every Switch 2, just like he did for Wii Sports on the original Wii.
Yeah.
I really do miss Reggie sometimes. Like I said, he really was a great president for the company, and of course, I'll always really miss the great Satoru Iwata.
Yeah, like because they kind of because I know like with the NES, I think because obviously the main package for the NES was Super Mario Brothers, and for the Super Nintendo was Super Mario World. The N64 and GameCube, I don't think really had any pack-in titles. The Wii was Wii Sports, obviously, and then I. Although I think in my case, my pack-in was Mario Kart Wii, mainly because I got the Wii like pretty late in its life cycle. And then I think, depending on which type of Wii U you got, I think they had Mario Kart 8, the original one, as a pack-in.
Yeah, I kind of got the Wii U like not too long after it came out. Like I think I got it like around my 13th birthday. So my pack-in was still Nintendo Land.
Yeah. Yeah, they haven't really done any pack-in titles since then. Like when the Switch 1 launched, like nothing. You had to get Breath of the Wild and anything else you wanted separately. And it's the same thing with the Switch 2.
Yep. Yeah, I know Nintendo doesn't. I have heard Nintendo doesn't really like doing pack-in games because of what they got like some kind of like philosophy they have it from their company or whatever. That's like basically something along the lines of they feel like it doesn't really give the people who made the games or like publishers or whatever like enough credit or value or whatever. But in my opinion, while I can get that argument, at the same time, it's like a very consumer friendly thing to do, especially if like you're trying to get people into like a new console and to like and to really understand why it's such a great proposition to have. I think there still should be a packing game regardless.
Yeah. Although to be fair, like anyone that got the bundles for Switch 2 at launch, like what I did, technically got Mario Kart World as a pack-in. So.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, that's pretty much why I wanted to get the bundle from the jump anyway, because I definitely was not going to drop $80 on the game. No matter how good Mario Kart World is, and like I said, I probably will talk about that a little bit in the next podcast episode. But no matter how good that game is, I was never going to pay $80 for it.
Well, let's just put it this way: it's much better than it's definitely much better than Welcome Tour.
Exactly. Yeah, Welcome Tour, I frankly probably would not even buy it even if it was just $1.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, as far as some other things we can talk about, and I guess this will be like the last thing I'll quickly mention in regards to the Switch 2, because like I said, I do want to do another podcast episode in a couple weeks where I kind of will go more into depth about some of my thoughts. But one thing I will quickly say that I did notice yesterday that I actually really do like about the Switch 2 is the fact that it seems like the motion controls and the pointer accuracy is far better on the new Joy-Cons than it was on the original Switch. And I felt this even while playing Mario Galaxy on 3D All Stars yesterday. Like I noticed I could point and click around a lot better than I ever could with the original Joy-Cons. So it's definitely great to see that they have gotten the motion controls fixed on the Switch 2 controllers.
Yeah.
Like I remember, like when I was using the original Joy-Con controllers for Mario Galaxy, it was just such a pain in the butt to like actually get it to point like Mario where he needed him to go, because the Switch Joy-Con just didn't really ever calibrate correctly because like the lack of a sensor bar. But for the Switch 2, it seems like they fixed that problem, so now that game works a lot better, which is great to see.
I would say so, and even like some like late cycle Switch 1 games that Switch 1 games that ran poorly on the older system, like hint Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, run a heck of a lot better on Switch 2.
Yep, I've heard and seen that as well, and that is definitely great to see. I definitely am glad that for that the Switch 2 backwards compatibility isn't just like improving Switch 1 games on like the Switch 2 edition games, but like, even just the regular Switch games as well. It's great to see they made it so that even for like older Switch games, the new processing power can actually make a lot of them a lot more playable.
Yeah.
Like I think especially the big one that sticks out in my mind is I think is like the Batman game. I forget exactly what it's called at the top of my head, but I've seen a couple of videos where where it's kind of showcasing how the original Switch was like basically almost impossible to play the driving sections with because like how bad the frame rate was. But when playing on the Switch 2, it's a whole new experience, and it actually runs at a nice consistent 30.
Yeah, and not to mention like the Switch 2 is able to get some third-party games that the Switch 1 likely would not have gotten if this was like still the original system. Like, for example, Cyberpunk 2077, which was one of the third-party games that launched with the Switch 2, I can almost guarantee you that would have ran horribly on Switch 1 if CD Projekt Red had tried to put it on there.
Oh, yeah, it would have been basically, like, unplayable.
Yeah. And considering what happened when that game first released during the pandemic, I have a feeling they probably did not want a repeat of that.
Yeah, for sure. And, even stuff like, if you remember, like, the GTA trilogy ran, like, really bad on the Switch. I definitely am curious now if, like, with the Switch 2 being more powerful, especially because we already know that the trilogy is running a lot better on the Switch 2 anyway. It does kind of make me wonder if we'll get, like, a port of, like, GTA 4 or 5 eventually on there, because I can definitely imagine that, with how much more powerful the Switch 2 is, it can definitely handle a game like that a lot better.
Yeah, because I know there were, like, a lot of bad glitches and other like weird stuff that happened like with the GTA Classic Collection on Switch 1. So maybe those run better on Switch 2. I mean, I wouldn't know because I haven't tried that yet, but it is possible.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, definitely would be nice to see what they do with that for sure. And there's just a lot of stuff on the Switch too that I'm kind of really imagining the possibilities. And in that regard, it really is a great time to be a Nintendo gamer for sure.
Yep.
After like several months of people kind of rage baiting and making like clickbait videos and content for clicks and basically lining their pants off, I'm glad to see that a lot of people are getting the Switch 2 and loving it.
I mean, the amount of units that they sold over the first, 4 days, although at this point it's probably more than 3.5 million. It might be up to 4 million. I have no idea. But it's great to see them selling so well right out of the jump, though.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely good that they're having such a nice start to this generation.
Yeah, and from what I was actually seeing earlier, I think they were saying that in all regions, the launch sales for Switch 2 were double what Switch 1's launch sales were.
Yeah, that is pretty incredible. Obviously, we'll see how things play out over time. I don't know. I'm still don't really think exactly the Switch 2 will outsell the Switch 1 just because the Switch 1 really was such like a really high selling console, like uniquely high selling console, especially because it benefited from like COVID and stuff as well. So I'm not exactly expecting that level of success again. But I definitely still could see the console getting as high as like 100 million units again for sure.
Yeah, I mean, because what worked for Switch 1 and getting all the numbers they did was the fact that the economy was, let's just say, more stable during that life cycle, especially when it launched. Whereas now, with everything being so expensive, that's kind of where this new system might have a disadvantage.
Yeah, exactly. Well, plus also even just the fact that when the Switch 1 came out, it was kind of the first of its kind. It was like the first console that really embraced the whole idea of like being both a handheld and a home console at the same time. Whereas nowadays, it kind of has more competition, and I think like even like Sony is like going to be coming out with like some kind of like PlayStation handheld soon too. So there's a lot more competition today for sure. But even with that in mind, I still think the Switch 2 will do really well.
And like that new ROG Ally handheld that Xbox announced a few days ago, like they haven't said yet what the pricing for that's going to be, but it's more likely going to be more expensive than the Switch 2 is going for.
Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely would not be surprised if it's at least like a couple hundred more, to be honest, but we'll see.
Yeah, all I know is that that's not really something that I need. I mean, the Switch 2 I'm quite content with as a handheld / home console for the time being, along with my PS5.
For sure. I don't really need much else to be honest with you, other than, like I said, probably a PS5, which I might get later on this year or early next year. But beyond that, I'm pretty much satisfied.
Yeah.
Alright. But anyway, I think that's going to do it for this episode of the podcast. Like I said, guys, I know it was a bit of a shorter one, but considering I missed last month and also because of the fact that I really wanted to save like the bigger stuff for the other episode later on this month, I kind of figured I would give you guys kind of like a pared down video this month. But either way, thank you all for watching, and of course, as always, thank you, Mark, for participating in this video as well.
No problem. I mean, by the time we get to our bigger one later, chances are June Direct will probably already happen, and that'll definitely be something to talk about.
For sure, and I'll definitely be excited for that as well. That is definitely another thing as well, that there could be another Direct pretty soon, so we'll see what happens. But either way, thank you all for watching, and thank you Mark for participating, and I'll see you guys all for the next episode of this podcast coming up hopefully pretty soon. Take care.